Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Zombie Train. This is episode number 308, and I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as Train Man. This week we have a question back on episode 244 from First Name Last Name, and they ask, wait, so the zombies haven't decayed to the point where they become immobilized because the muscles have decayed away in the first few weeks. So this was something that really nobody, except for the people that studied Solanum, the zombie virus, would have known before the war. Really before the Great Panic, but really, before the war began in general, which, largely we talk about, okay, it was the Great Panic, and that's when World War Z started, quote-unquote, but really, I hesitate to say, I don't know, that's almost like saying World War II began with the invasion of France, or Pearl Harbor or something. There was plenty going on beforehand. As a matter of fact, there was a lot going on beforehand, but people didn't tend to pay attention. So the knowledge was getting out there before the Alpha teams, or, before the Great Panic, but after the Alpha teams were sort of deployed around the globe to get rid of small uprisings of zombies. Small infections. But, yeah, this is something that was a huge misconception before the war, and if you really want to learn more about it, you can read about it in Max Brooks's excellent book about zombies. That would be The Zombie Survival Guide, which was actually published before the war, somebody knew. I don't actually know what Max Brooks's background was, but I mean, these days we know him as the guy who chronicled the war after it was all over. But that span, that it was all over, did come, let's see, what would we call the end of the war? It's hard to say that it's over now, because there are still times, especially in springtime, where we deal with zombies here and there, mostly up north, but, yeah, I mean, there were probably 10 years or so, at least, of real hardcore war. And the Zombie Survival Guide, and this is a book that I did own before the Great Panic, before the war began, talks about zombies tending to last between 5 and 20 years before completely decaying. And that would be from the moment they are zombified, assuming that it was a living person that was bitten and went down, that underwent that transformation, which takes about 24 hours. So, yeah, from being bitten to rising as a zombie is about a day, sometimes more, sometimes less, sometimes as few as 12 hours, but between 12 and 24. And from then, the clock's ticking. Now, people think about a dead body. If somebody dies, if someone gets shot and killed, then their body will last a couple weeks, maybe, before they're basically unrecognizable, and then they'll just, they'll turn away, they'll decompose into nothing in, a couple of months, maybe. But the fact of the matter is, zombies don't host a lot of the decomposers that a normal human corpse does. And that's the thing that people don't realize. That's the big takeaway. Solanum, the zombie virus, the unique structure of it, to my understanding, is that it really tends to repel basically all life. Now, there's a natural instinct in a lot of mammals, and I'm not sure about fish, but mammals and reptiles and a lot of things that are land-based, basically things that have, I think it's a sense of smell, might do it. I'm not sure what the instinct is based on, but it's a very, very strong and pervasive instinct to get away from any trace or hint of solanum. We, humans, being, intelligent creatures, so to speak, we don't have this response, or at the very least we suppress it. I don't know if there's a way that you could maybe tap into that to get this sixth sense or whatever, but although I guess, like I said, it's probably an extension of the sense of smell. But I do know that having something like a dog, or a cat even, but a dog would be a little bit more, it would alert you more readily to zombies in the area. But anything, any pet, for the most part, they will have a very, very strong reaction if a zombie's nearby. The other way you can tell is that basically you will hear no wildlife at all. Again, because wildlife, I should say, really tend to get the hell out of Dodge. They react to it before we, humans, can really even figure out that something's there. It's kind of amazing when you think about it, but at the same time it's also kind of scary. And it saved my butt on a couple of occasions. Not like, oh, there's a dog alerting me, but like, wow, it's really quiet here. There's something going on. And it's like, oh, there's no wildlife. That's an issue. That's bad news. But, yeah, so Solanum tends to unconsciously make animals want to go away. And it has a very similar effect, as a matter of fact, on most decomposers. Bacteria, fungus, they're just incompatible with Solanum. It pervasively attacks and destroys virtually all cellular life, and the only reason that humans work for it, the only reason that humans don't just disintegrate, is because we have a brain that's capable of sustaining some sort of cognitions after Solanum. You know, if a zombie were to bite a dog, the dog would just die. It would not reanimate. It would just die. And the flesh is poisonous. If you, as a human, were to eat a zombie, it would not be like a zombie bit you. You would die of I don't know what you'd call it, but it's effectively poisonous. And that's something that I've talked about before. You know, the way it gets into you is a bodily fluid transfer. So the biting is to break the skin. That's why that's important. And it's incredibly pervasive. But because the decomposers, even the bacteria, can't really, not in significant quantities, live in a zombified corpse. Not only do zombies not smell like a rotting corpse, because they are not rotting, per se, but that means that they don't degrade nearly as quickly as a human corpse is. Don't get me wrong. They do in fact decompose, and zombies that were underwater for long periods of time tend to come out, well, first bloated, but then almost like ragged, like they're falling apart. It's disgusting, first of all. And second of all, it is the process of decomposition happening to an organism that's, happening to the zombie. It just doesn't happen nearly as quickly. So, in probably another 5 or 10 years, I would say, all of the zombies that are a direct result, or that were created during World War Z, during the main stages of the war, will pretty much be decomposed to the point where they'll be dead. They'll be inactive. They'll be laying on the ground decomposing. The brain will no longer be able to control anything because everything will have disintegrated to the point where there's nothing to control. That's the thing with zombies, because they don't feel pain, and because they are pushing the human body to the limit. You can blow a leg off and they'll keep coming at you. They'll blow an arm off, they'll keep coming at you. They do not care about damage that they are taking. That is what makes them so dangerous. They are not unstoppable because they are invulnerable. They are unstoppable because they do not stop for anything. And, like I said, I talked about Yonkers a couple of weeks ago, as much as I hate doing that. And I talked about how, basically, we didn't realize how much damage that a zombie could take, because of the fact that they don't have a particularly high amount of actual bodily fluids. It's sort of like a gel, or a goop. They tend to be kind of resilient to blast and concussive damage. I cannot answer that. And I lost my train of thought. So, they're resilient to damage, is the point I'm saying. And they do not really decompose. They do, but very slowly compared to a normal human corpse. Or any other corpse, for that matter. And they push the body to the limit, which means even after a really significant amount of damage, which would be crippling for a normal human, a zombie will keep going. And I don't know everything about Solanum. I don't pretend to. I worked almost, you could say, in the field. I fought zombies. I did everything I could to help people and follow out the directives of the Zombie Train Incorporated once that started, but I never really tried to get in a zombie's head. I never really sat down with a medical professional and discussed zombies. I never did any of that. I was only in it to do... I was only in it to survive and to help. I cared very little about the science of zombies, and that's why I'm a little bit at a loss when I'm trying to explain why they don't decompose. Again, I might be butchering it. I might be so, underselling the complexity and the detail, and I don't know what kind of advances have been made since then. Since World War Z came out, which was, or not World War Z, the book, the Zombie Survival Guide, the book. Since that came out, we had an actual full-scale, I think it was a stage 3 zombie infection. And that is a huge, huge deal, and that, if I was a scientist, I would probably say something like, it presents incredible research opportunities. But I am not a scientist, so I say that it was awful, and we fought a war against the living dead, and that it cost me most of my friends and family, and I am so incredibly lucky to still be talking with you here, decades down the road. I really wish that, we could wind back the clock and make things better, and learn and understand that things were going to get so much worse than we could have possibly imagined. I don't think that anyone really knew or understood what it meant, what a stage 3 really meant, or really even took it seriously. And I started cracking up about this in the last episode, I think, where I was saying that, people, when you said, oh yeah, zombies, before the war, people would just kind of laugh. People would, and I was one of them, I can't say I wasn't, but, oh yeah, zombies are coming for us, yeah, right. And I made my zombie plan basically in jest. Just for the fun, just to see, it would be fun to put together a zombie plan in case zombies ever invade, yeah, ha ha ha. And then they did, and then we fought for years and years, and I've done so many things in my life, good and bad, that I never even thought I would have had the capability to. And at the same time, it's like, what did I leave behind? What did I not get to do? What did I didn't even finish high school. I don't have a diploma. I don't have anything. I was a sophomore, I think, or a junior, I guess. I was a junior early in my junior year when I left, and it's been so long. I don't even know what my school looks like. I doubt they're hosting any classes there anymore. I don't know. I don't know. It's been a long, long road from where we were, and I think we've left a lot behind, but that doesn't mean that it's over. There are still zombies out there. There are some hanging around, and there's always a chance that something flares up again, but I doubt we're going to have another Phase 3 or Stage 3 or whatever, at least in my lifetime. Because, well, there just aren't enough people left. That's the thing. We hit this critical mass of people in the world, and that's what let it spread. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you next week. Feel free to ask questions that you have down below. Trainman out.